Okay, so I'm getting on with that playlist. I am, and my hair's a bit Hermione Granger, but there you go. I wanted to talk about the kickback that we've started. Now, within that playlist, I'm focused on the rule of law that's going to be exposed by Crisis. And what I've said is the stuff that's going on in elite academia and elite institutions doesn't impact me. Well, it kind of does. It impacts us all. And we have a major problem. Like, there's no doubt about it. We're in a country on the brink of Brexit. We are about to decide our future, and our higher education system, as particularly our elite institutions, are very loudly in the process of devaluing themselves. So we have an Oxford academic who was chastised and investigated for his transphobic comment. And we have a Liverpool academic who has literally been sacked by some nasty students who tried to get her sacked because they perceived that what she said was harmful to them. Now, I was one of the, like, tuition fees came in quite a couple of years before I started at university, but my first degree was around the early days of the consumerisation of higher education. And there were already students who were treating their degree like something they were purchasing and then expecting, you know, consumer sovereignty within an education institute where actually you're a student and it's a very different process. And by the time I got to LSE, I could see the outcome of that. Now, with my masters, I don't know whether I ever mentioned, but I failed my quant exam the first year, and it was the hardest paper that there'd been in about 15 years, and I failed it by 1 mark. And I resat it, and I would have passed whatever paper they sat the next year because I was ready for it. And I'm actually really glad I sat it, and I'm really glad that I have that kind of knowledge, and I wouldn't have had it had I passed that exam by 1 or 2 marks. So the year after that, after I resat, the paper was quite hard, and the students on that course started a petition to complain about the paper being too hard. So this is like the most privileged students that you will ever imagine. These are master's students at the most privileged university in the country, and the first time they get a curveball in the shape of a slightly hard exam paper, they do a fucking petition. If I'd have been presented with that petition, I'd have fucking deleted it, I swear to God. It's really, really easy when you're in the middle of this stuff to focus on the fact that you're getting shit from these stupid students who are shouting turf to highlight, the vacuousness of their discipline, their lack of connection with the world, their lack of understanding of these systems. And, it's really easy to blame, a lot of people. I'm really furious, a lot of media organisations, politics organisations. But the biggest driver to this is that posh students and overgrown permanent juveniles like Laurie Penny, they want a marginalised. They want to be genderqueer, they want to be non-binary. And so they want this identity that they have made up so that they feel marginalised, because to them marginalisation is authenticity. It's not the grind and the solid fucking devastating never-ending fucking toil that the rest of us have to live with. To them, marginalisation is authenticity. And what we see is the cries of these narcissistic students as they march around doing as much damage as they can because they haven't been educated. They've been doing vacuous disciplines about identify as, with a peer review bubble. And what they're actually doing, while it's really terrible for us on the receiving end of it, what they're actually doing is devaluing our entire higher education system. Now, they haven't done this. They didn't consumerise higher education. They didn't neoliberalise it. They didn't turn it all into individualism. People before them went that. But what they are is they are the signpost, and they are telling the world that we do not have a fit higher education system. And we don't. It's been corroded by elite social closure and by individualist disciplines, which are structurally designed not to see the structure of the system. So universal credit is currently collapsing. And the reason we don't have a replacement is there isn't one. And there isn't one because welfare economics has been bunk for 20 years and nobody's ever fucking challenged it because it's these disciplines bolstering it. So universal credit is currently mangling everybody it touches, and we don't have a replacement. Our local authorities are collapsing. We don't have any policymakers who actually understand how those institutions work. Because it's students like the ones that are fucking chasing after academics for perceived transphobia who are doing this. So we have major institutional collapse happening. We have no academic disciplines to tell us how these systems work, and our higher education system is graphically and loudly devaluing itself and telling everybody that in the UK we do not have a fit higher education system. Our elite institutions are in a worse state than the rest of our institutions, and nobody listens to the people from the rest of our institutions. So I just wanted to place that as comment, really, partly because I'm a bit cross, but partly because I think while we're focusing on the academics who are being targeted, which we rightly should be, we should be looking at the big picture, which is that we're currently telling the world that we don't have a higher education system, or more to the point, these